Welcome to this episode of Best of America by Horseback. I'm Tom Seay with Kristen Biscoe. On this episode, we're going to take you to some of the most sacred and hallowed ground in America.
We're in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania at Gettysburg National Military Park. We will take you on a tour of the battlefield by horseback through the original farm lanes.
There's no better way to get closer to history than to ride across these actual battlefields on your horse. Lots of people don't realize that you can bring your own horse here to ride these actual battlefields. You love history. We will talk with the park superintendent and the head ranger about how the park has changed from just 10 years ago. They have put in a tremendous effort to return the battlefield landscapes to their 1863 appearance and built a new and expanded visitor center. We'll also take you on a tour of President Dwight D. Eisenhower's 650-acre farm, which is adjacent to the battlefield. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with a visit to Gettysburg National Military Park.
Part of this show is brought to you by Mill Creek Manufacturing, makers of the first compact and stainless steel manure spreaders. They also make spin groomer arena rakes and now a new line of outdoor power equipment like the Mighty Ox log splitters and wood chippers. All top quality, high value equipment, all made in the USA. And by Spur's Big Fix, wound, skin, and hoof treatment. The more you use it, the more you'll love it.
I'm Steve Tucker. I'm the founder and president of Tucker Trail Saddles. We listen to our customers, we leverage the experience and craftsmanship of our team, and we embrace the goal to produce the most comfortable and functional trail saddle in the world. And we believe that we are offering with the new Horizon the absolute best and most comfortable trail riding saddle available today.
I've ridden thousands of miles all over this country. The saddle I choose is a Tucker saddle.
On this episode of Best of America by Horseback, we're in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, where we will visit Gettysburg National Military Park and the Dwight D. Eisenhower Farm. Visitors may not be aware that you can actually ride through the battlefield by horseback, on your own horse or through guided rides offered by several horseback tour services licensed by the park. Tom and Kristen will tour the battlefield with viewers on horseback. Gettysburg National Military Park is a memorial to the three-day battle that was the turning point of the American Civil War. The National Park Service has been working on restoring the battlefield landscape back to its 1863 appearance. Tom talked with Park Superintendent Ed Clark about the dramatic changes they have made to the park in just the past 10 years.
Ed, until a few moments ago, hadn't seen you since we met down in Manassas. So my thought was every time I see you, we're surrounded in Civil War history. There's got to be some origins to that. How did you become so interested in Civil War?
Sure. Well, having been born and raised in Virginia from a long-standing Virginia family, I was really steeped in American history, but especially around the Civil War. It took me to all of the various battlefields and other places across Virginia and adjoining states. So I really grew up not only just understanding history itself, but how my ancestors played a role in that history.
I've heard from many sources that Gettysburg is probably the most respected, most sacred of all battlefields and parks. I guess you would agree with that?
Well, it's certainly the most well known. We have a lot of visitors from all over the country, but even from all over the world. And being so close to Washington, D.C., we get a tremendous number of dignitaries from foreign countries who come, and it really is interesting. It's not just a passing curiosity. Gettysburg, there's something about this place. You don't have to have been, a multi-generational American to understand how this place is so special to our own nation's history, but really to world history. And so whether it's, folks from Europe or even Asia, they come, and many of them want to come and spend time at Gettysburg. So I'd like to think that we're certainly the most popular, but I definitely know we're the most well known.
rfd-tv reaches over 50 million homes, so for people that have not had an opportunity to be here, if they had to come here and for just only a day or two, what are some of the things that they should look for and should certainly see while they're here?
Certainly. Well, we're standing here at the Visitor Center and the Museum for Gettysburg National Military Park, and it's only been open for a few years. Our museum, I think, is world class. We have about 1.2 million objects in our collection. Now, not all 1.2 million are out for display, but we have some pretty amazing things in our museum. The cyclorama is the largest oil on canvas painting in the United States, and it depicts that 15-20 minute melee up on the place we call the Angle. We also know that as Pickett's Charge today. And it really is a moving experience to see that painting and the program that we have around that. But nothing beats time on the battlefield itself. And so going out, being at that place where those men fought each other during Pickett's Charge, near the Pennsylvania Memorial, looking across the Emmitsburg Road over towards the Virginia Monument, is one of those places that really touches me. And it really is that defining just few moments of this battle that really dictated the outcome of that battle and played a large role in the outcome of the war. Little Round Top is a place certainly famous in its own right for the activities that happened up there on July 2nd. That place has a commanding, sweeping view of the entire battlefield, but also understanding the stories of the soldiers who fought up there of both sides really brings home that individual human struggle that's contained within this larger, amazing incident.
Some years ago, I was there at Round Top, and people were talking, and you could hear their voices and so forth. As the sun set, it was just a silence there. It was kind of an eerie, spiritual moment. Have you ever experienced that? Is that a recurring thing when people are there? Do they start sensing how important that is?
I think in some cases it's almost like being in church. There are some spots that just by the very nature of what happened there, whether it's our own human emotion laying on top of that or if there's something more spiritual, but there really is something about this place, and particularly when you combine the sense of place with those stories, whether you get it from one of our interpretive rangers or you get it from one of our licensed battlefield guides, there really is just that raw human emotion, those struggles on an individual and on a grand basis experience that being here in person you can't replicate.
How many men were here?
On both sides there was 90,000 on the Union side, there's about 75,000 on the Confederate side. 51,000 casualties in total. It's the largest number of casualties in any battle, the largest battle here, on the continent. Those numbers just boggle the mind today. When we look at our conflicts today, and rightly so, every soldier who's wounded or killed in action, there's a news report about it, but they were in the thousands here. Thousands died, tens of thousands were wounded, thousands captured and lost. It's a scale that I think we can't even wrap our heads around today in our modern world.
Here in Gettysburg, somebody had the vision to remove the modern buildings, put in the battlefield as it was.
Right.
That must take an incredible amount of planning and logistical thought.
Surely. Really the park of today is a completely different park than what it was 20, I would say even 10 years ago. So much effort has gone into removing a lot of the modern structures, some of the hotels and businesses and houses that had occupied really key battlefield spots. But then really to pull our visitors into that moment, 1863, and the period of time that the veterans were still around, putting monuments on the battlefield, removing a lot of the forests and just a lot of the vegetation that had grown up over the last century and a half. Mother Nature seems to have a plan here, and it's not leaving it as open fields. A lot of it's very rocky, so it's taken tremendous effort and frankly money to return these battlefield landscapes back to its 1863 appearance.
If you are interested in learning more about Best of America by Horseback, visit our website at bestofamericabyhorseback.com. There you can view our show schedule on rfd-tv, learn how to join us for upcoming rides and events, benefits of our trail club and how to join, find riding locations and dude ranches by state, shop the online store for Best of America by Horseback logo gear, read our monthly newsletter to stay up to date, and learn about our sponsors and their quality products. It's all here at bestofamericabyhorseback.com.
Best of America by Horseback is at Gettysburg National Military Park in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Horses and mules played a significant role in the Civil War. Cannons and heavy artillery pieces could not be moved from battle to battle or maneuvered on a battlefield without them, making them valuable targets to the opposing side. They pulled the wagons carrying supplies and men, transported the wounded to makeshift hospitals, and carried the generals and other high-ranking officers into battle. Over 1 million horses and mules were killed during the Civil War. It is estimated between 3,000 and 5,000 horses and mules were killed at Gettysburg alone over the 3-day battle. Visitors can ride horses out on the battlefield on designated bridle trails that take you through significant battle areas. You can bring your own horse and ride, or use one of several commercial riding stables that offer rides into the park with their licensed guides. The guides give informative tours as you ride the marked trails around the battlefield, stopping at strategic points of interest like the Peach Orchard or the Angle, the site of Pickett's charge. And they give riders an accounting of the events that unfolded over those first 3 days of July in 1863.
If I had to pick one place to be able to go, and it would first be over towards the Virginia Monument Memorial to get a perspective of what the Confederate troops were going to be doing on the day of Pickett's charge, and then immediately bring them up to Little Round Top to be able to see that panoramic view of the landscape, and then conclude that by going to Hancock Avenue, which was the line of Union soldiers on the day of Pickett's charge, and represent what they saw a few minutes ago on the West Confederate Avenue side, and talk about the number of soldiers that were out here on the battle on that day and what they'd be facing at that time in that moment in history.
What is it that you enjoy most about the historic part of this? Is it the battlefields? Is it the people coming to do history? Is it the Eisenhower farm? What is it that you personally just really relish?
The thing I like the best is actually interacting with the people and the visitors, and most importantly, the younger generations, being able to educate them on the history of this place as well as Eisenhower, and bringing them out to these places so they can learn from it and be able to take it back to their families and take it back to their friends.
While talking with Head Ranger Jeremy Murphy, Tom met David and Sarah Cordero, who were touring the battlefield with their grandsons, Sebastian and Clayton. Tom discovered Sebastian had a great interest in the Civil War, and Clayton wanted to be a videographer. So Tom turned his microphone over to Sebastian, and I turned the camera over to Clayton. Here's the interview they did with Ranger Murphy.
Okay, sir, what can we go and see in the visitor center?
So the visitor center is open. You'll be able to go in and talk to a park ranger behind the desk, be able to find out about the ongoing park ranger tours. You could also be able to go through the cyclorama and the movie, and as well as that, be able to go through the museum. And then if you haven't had lunch yet, they do have a cafeteria with other food and stuff offered inside, as well as a bookstore to be able to get some souvenirs for your trip back home.
Oh, and what is your favorite place in the park?
My favorite place in the park, that would probably be off of Sykes Avenue, would be the Irish Brigade Monument. It's a monument with the Celtic cross with the Irish Wolfhound at the base of it.
And following up on the monuments, who funds the production and making of the monuments?
So a lot of the monuments were dedicated by the soldiers themselves, put out here on the battle shortly after the battle itself. And then the other ones were by the states. The states would put out a state monument, and throughout the course of time, the Park Service is the one who maintains them. We have a monument crew who goes out and takes care of the cannons, the monuments, the flank markers, as well as the stone walls and everything else.
And how many of the monuments are there?
There's roughly 1,400 monuments across the battlefield and approximately 300 cannons out on the battlefield landscape right now.
And are they just scattered all over the place, or are they in specific spots where specific things occurred in the battle?
They're in specific places where the actual soldiers themselves were during the times of the battle. There could be multiple monuments to the same brigade, but the flank markers are out there marking the actual flanks of the left and right flanks of the troops that were out there. The other monuments by the state where the brigades were at and the other troops.
And how large is the battlefield?
The battlefield itself is about 6,000 acres, and the Eisenhower National Historic Site is about 650 acres, so between the two parks, close to 7,000 acres in size.
Impressive.
Adjacent to Gettysburg Battlefield is the Eisenhower National Historic Site. It was the home of the late General and President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Eisenhower and his wife Mamie donated their home and farm to the National Park Service in 1967. Visitors can tour the house and grounds of this 690-acre farm. Virtually unchanged, the house, furnishings, landscapes, and the views of the Eisenhower National Historic Site offer an intimate look into the lives of Dwight and Mamie Eisenhower. The house retains almost all of the original furnishings, including an Italian marble mantelpiece in the living room, salvaged during the 1873 renovation of the White House, that was presented to the Eisenhowers as a wedding gift. Outside, you can tour the barns and grounds. That includes Mamie's famous rose gardens and Ike's putting green with a sand trap. The immediate grounds also include a large stock barn and various utility structures where Ike's tractors and other farm equipment were kept. Eisenhower started a successful cattle enterprise called Eisenhower Farms during his presidency. His cattle show barn sits atop the hill in the middle of the pastures. Ranger Murphy took Tom through the barn that once housed the president's show cattle and still houses his military jeep and much of his farm equipment. Mamie loved horses. She had several large paddocks near the house for her horses. She even designed a hitching post outside the house that resembled a tree stump to blend in with the surrounding woods.
It is said,
before it was illegal to pick your kid up by the arm, he'd pick me up and stick me in the saddle with him.
Another thing that comes when you buy property from Outlet Land Companies, you get free lifetime riding at East Fork Stable.
The people that live here in this area are great. I mean, talk about people who just pitch in and give you a hand with stuff.
So you have access to 400 miles of trails in the northern part of this county.
If you dream it.
Well, you'll have 4, similar to Ohio, but just a lot milder. This just felt more like home to us.
It can be.
And let's ride.
You got it, hon.
Hello, I'm Gary Stites. I am the #1 dealer for Lakota trailers nationwide. Please stop in and see our new facility. Our new facility has a very large display area where we will have up to a dozen trailers inside the building, a very large service center where we can service all your needs. We can take care of your horses as well as your trailer and show you new trailers also. Please stop in and see us on Interstate 71 south of Columbus, Ohio.
Best of America by Horseback is in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, visiting Gettysburg National Military Park and the Dwight D. Eisenhower National Historic Site. There are several licensed horseback tour companies near the park that offer informative guided rides on the battlefield. You can visit destinationgettysburg.com for a list and contact information on those companies. You can also bring your own horse to ride the designated bridle paths through the battlefield. We camped with our horses at Artillery Ridge Campground and Gettysburg Horse Park. They are a family-friendly facility and the closest campground to the battlefield. Access to the park riding trails is just a few yards from the campground. Artillery Ridge Campground and the Gettysburg Horse Park is a full-service camping facility with a section set aside for equine camping. They offer everything from basic tent sites to sites with full hookups. They also have primitive and full-service rental cabins. The ones in the equine camper area are Western themed with stalls and paddocks conveniently located behind them. For the horses, they have covered stalls and outside paddocks. They also have round pens and an outdoor arena in the camp area. For more information on Artillery Ridge Campground and the Gettysburg Horse Park, you can call them at 717-334-1288 or log on to artilleryridge.com. The Gettysburg diorama that used to be located in the campground office is now in the town of Gettysburg at the Gettysburg Diorama and History Center. You can see the entire 6,000-acre battlefield at one time, with over 20,000 miniature hand-painted soldiers, horses, cannons, and buildings. The diorama includes a 30-minute light and sound show of the three-day Battle of Gettysburg from the first shot fired to the last moments at the high water mark of the Confederacy. While visiting Gettysburg National Military Park and the Eisenhower National Historic Site, take time to also visit the quaint town of Gettysburg that sits to the north of the battlefield. Here you can eat in historic buildings, visit antique and gift shops, take walking tours of the town, or even go on a ghost walk. You can also visit the Wade House, the site of the only civilian casualty of the Battle of Gettysburg. It was a young 20-year-old woman named Jenny Wade who was hit by a stray bullet that passed through her kitchen door while she was making bread on July 3rd. At her house, you can see the bullet holes that pierced the door. We ate at General Pickett's Buffet with the viewers who rode with us. The owner and staff were very knowledgeable about the Battle of Gettysburg, and they enjoyed sharing stories with us during our meals, including information on the horses and mules in the battle. For more information on visiting Gettysburg National Military Park and the Eisenhower Historic Site, you can log on to nps.gov/GETT or call the park at 717-334-1124.
I hope you've enjoyed this incredible location where you can come and ride your horse or tour company horses to see the incredible history that's located here. If you'd like to ride with us in the future, we hope you do, this is how you do it.
Visit our website, bestofamericabyhorseback.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and on YouTube, Best of America by Horseback.
Join us next week. Thank you for watching.